I think the best thing I ever did was say this dream out loud to the people who care about me the most. And when you're stuck, you raise your hand.
Having someone that can be there with you to navigate that without any sort of judgment.
I'm Michelle.
And I'm Whitney. This is the Use Your Fear podcast.
All right, so this is the Use Your Fear podcast. My name is Michelle.
My name is Whitney, and we are in the Fear We Wear series. And today's episode is the fear of not being enough and learning to trust yourself. Before we get into that, we are going to start this off with our high, low, and buffalo. So, Michelle, tell me, what's your high, low, and buffalo since the last time we chatted?
Oh my
It's been
gosh.
a little bit.
I feel like life has happened a lot. Actually, you know what? We're going to switch it up. You go first. Let me think about it.
You want me to go first?
Let's
no, it's
go.
fine. I'll go first.
I'm switching it up.
I'm good with that. So I would say that my high is that it always continues to kind of be around work right now. Is I have been diving deep into my new venue and doing a lot of remodeling and moving things around. And my food service director is just being so sweet, and he's just doing anything I ask, and I'd say, hey, take this off of that, and he just gets a sledgehammer and does it for me. So we're making miracles happen where we are with very old equipment, and I'm excited about that. My low is that I have like so many cuts on my fingers right now. So I'm like vinyl wrapping stuff, and I just keep like cutting my fingers up. And my buffalo. Oh, I told y'all this one the other day when we were at dinner and my husband, son, and I were talking about something a few years ago or a couple years ago where my son had made himself a bowl of cereal with Lucky Charms in a giant mixing bowl with a ladle to eat it. And we were talking about it, and he just go, yeah, Dad was pissed.
Pull that card. Pull that card.
He did. Oh my God. I almost peed my pants. It was so funny. So I know that's kind of an off the wall buffalo, but it's one of those that like I was not expecting him to say Dad was pissed. All right. So now have you had enough time to think about what your high, low, and buffalo is?
No, but we're going to go anyway.
Yeah. Off the cuff. You got it.
Let's go. My high is it was my husband's birthday yesterday. And he is the greatest, and I love celebrating him. My low was that I couldn't celebrate him the way I wanted to because I went through a day. I had a day, y'all. And this actually flows into surprising. So let's just knock all of this out while an airplane is flying over my head.
I can't hear it.
Okay, great. Perfect. So I had a complete breakdown, like to the point where like I've never had so much go wrong at once. So yeah, I had to be around people, and I kept my composure. I kept a smile on my face and kept the conversation going. And then I felt all the feelings afterwards, and it hit me like a ton of bricks to the point where I was borderline like catatonic. Like I was trying to go home and I couldn't even follow Google Maps. Like I kept missing my turns, or I would go the wrong way on the highway in an area that I've been a million times. And I was just I was completely out of my body, and I was just trying.
Can I clarify real fast?
Sure.
Going the wrong direction, but not the wrong way on, like you're not going against traffic on, right? Like,
I was supposed to go north, but I went south, like stuff like that.
Got it. Thank you. I was like, oh my God, you're going the wrong direction on the highway against the car.
I was on the news. Did you see me?
No.
So thank you for clarifying that, Whitney. I appreciate that.
Of course. Yeah.
But in this, what my buffalo is I asked for what I needed. Like I really took care of myself. The Michelle in January would have not done that at all. And I, reached out to people who were trying to ask me how things went. And I said, I'm not ready to talk. I'll talk to you later. And my husband came home. I was like, I'm not ready to talk about it. I just want to go to bed. And I just felt my feelings as I could. And I took care of myself. And I felt all of the negativity hit me all at once. But I kept showing up for myself. And I kept telling myself that I'm going to be okay. It's okay. Like I'm safe. Shit happens. And so I'm really proud of, I'm like proud and embarrassed at the same time. Isn't that funny?
That makes sense.
I mean, that's okay to be.
Yeah. I learned a lot. Adriel is part of our Pink Pony Club. We have a text message group. Rachel is also included in that. We've interviewed her before. And we're just a group of gals who talks nonstop. And we also have an Instagram group too called Aubenite Acres.
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
Yes.
That's a new project.
That is our wellness farm.
That's our retirement fund.
No, but Adriel is one of my really good friends. We've known each other for, a few years. We met through a friend of a friend, through multiple parties. And you are probably one of the kindest people I've ever met. And you really sit down and see people. And so that's how we really connected, I feel like. But Adriel, would you like to say a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself?
My name is Adriel. I'm an artist. I work in marketing and I'm a writer. I don't think I used to think that meant I was an artist, but that's art. What else about me? I have 2 dogs and a great boyfriend and a really pretty house that I love.
Adriel, you're a creative. You're an artist. I love that. You're a writer. You've got a podcast. You're in marketing.
You're donating to charity.
You are donating to charity to support.
It wasn't just me. I wish I could do more, honestly.
Yeah.
My high-low buffalo this week. My high was honestly, and this is going to sound weird, and I know you didn't even ask me this, but
I want to know.
was losing my power for 8 hours on Tuesday. And I know that sounds uncomfortable and it wasn't pleasant, but I just got to read all day and read an entire book. And it was very peaceful. And I didn't feel as stressed about stuff because I had to stay off of social media and the news wasn't on because I need to make sure it maintained everything. And so it was kind of a peaceful thing. And then my low was actually as I was boxing up all the donations last night and writing what everything was, I had a complete breakdown and I was just it's not enough. It's just not enough stuff. And I was just crying in the garage and Jason was just giving me a hug and I was like, okay, it's still stuff. We're still giving them stuff. And then my buffalo is my friend Amber. She randomly texted me and was like, hey, are you still collecting donations? I can be at your house in 25 minutes. And I haven't seen her in 2 years. And so we just sat here, just talking for an hour and just hung out. And it was nice. But I wouldn't have been able to have that surprise without a tragedy. It was just, it all interconnected. I think it was just emotional because I kept thinking back to Harvey. And I was like, what is all the stuff that we needed that we kept forgetting about, cleaning supplies and jugs of water, not bottles of water. And I went into mission control mode from years of doing that and was just had a little bit of a meltdown because I was like, it's just not enough. But now they're picking it up and taking it to everyone, which is really nice.
No, it's really
proud
been
of you though.
Yeah, it's really been good to see everybody's rallying behind the efforts behind the Texas flood companies. I've seen influencers. I've seen, just everyday people just trying to gather whatever they can and get support over there. What's going on is absolutely heartbreaking, and every little bit helps. So when I saw you were doing donations, I was like, that's my girl. That's my girl.
It's my hometown too. I'm from there. So it's it was hard for me because I was like, usually I'm the one like boots on the ground, like cleaning out houses, doing all the stuff. And I just physically couldn't do it. And I was like, I have to do something. I can't just sit here. I have to do something. So,
Yeah.
Did you know anybody? Yeah. I'm
and
so
they
sorry.
didn't, it's
I'm sorry, Adriel.
okay. Anyway,
We love you so much.
We do love you.
I love you guys.
You're just an incredible giving person, and so excited to talk to you today about something that I think we all talk about pretty much 24/7. Am I enough? Learning to trust yourself. Good gosh, just saying that is like,
Right?
and the fear of not being enough. And we have a lot of discussions around that. And so we're just excited to sit down and get your take on it. Whitney and I have had, conversations, but everybody's different. Everybody has a different take on it. Everybody has a different experience with it. And so that's why we wanted you to be here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. So, Adriel, when do you have? So, Michelle is very much, here is my moment, my point, and when everything changed my life. And mine was very much more, it just kind of developed over time. And, like Michelle said, everyone's a little bit different. So, for you, is there a moment or kind of a memory in life of where this fear kind of came from?
I was thinking about it. So for context, I grew up in an abusive home. My dad wasn't abusive. It was my stepmom. And it was before I was trying to, when he sent me the notes, I was like, I'm trying to pinpoint a moment, right? But I think it's a compound of a lot of different things that you start to realize where your value isn't and stuff like that. But you don't really understand that when you're a kid. You're just like, why can't just love me? Just love me. Please just love me. Right. So it's like, I have a very distinct moment. So my stepmom had been abusive in other ways, used to hit us with spatulas and shoes, locked me in a basement, stuff like that. It didn't get when she physically hit me, you're going to love this story. So we were in charge of dishes and stuff. And I didn't want to do the dishes. So I kept hoarding all the plastic cups behind my mirror in my bedroom. I was 6. Okay. I was 6 and I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. And they came home from work one day early. They were both in the police department. And I knew, when you know something bad's about to happen, I knew when both their cars were there, I was like, ooh, they're home early and that's probably not a good sign. And they were in my room and they had found this stack of cups that was as tall as my mirror. They couldn't find any cups in the cabinets because I was hoarding them. Obviously, I'm going to get busted for this. So we had a dog gate on my door. And she reached out and she hit me across the face. And I remember turning and kind of running to my dad. And I was crying. And he sat there on the dog gate and put his arms across his chest. And he goes, "Don't you come crying to me." And I distinctly remember that because I think it's the first moment I knew I could no longer depend on my dad for protection, and he wasn't actually going to do anything for it. But I think that's from that kind of stuff. But I think the not feeling good enough comes from all the little things. It's not these big damaging PTSD moments. It's the coming home with a 98 instead of being happy for you. They ask you, why didn't you get 100? Going to all my brother's sporting stuff, but they couldn't go to mine. Even if they were in the same ballpark, they would just go sit and watch other boys playing even while I was playing. So it always just felt I always say it felt like I grew up in a house with Jesus, and it was just I was never going to be good enough. I could never compare to Jesus, and it's not my brother's, my brother did not lean into this. He was my savior in a lot of this. He was a very good protector. So it wasn't he was super happy about it. It wasn't something that he was a part of. But I think it's those kind of little things like that, the not being defended, being the only one abused in the house, being told you're never going to be anything, your dad never wanted you, you're worthless, you're fat, you're ugly. It's all these things. And when you're a kid, I guess now I understand that's when you start developing like that understanding of who you are and your value and stuff like that, and these people that are supposed to be teaching me the good stuff and like showing me unconditional love were showing me instead that love is conditional and that we don't really want you, we want this and things like that. So I think it, as much as I can pinpoint that one specific abuse moment where I knew like everything was changing, I think it was the compound effect of all the little things adding up that made me finally move out of my house and realize like, I'm never going to be good enough for you. Like there's nothing I can do that will make you love me the way you love him. And since then, they've even said, like, we had to love you differently. And I'm like, no, actually, you didn't. Like, that's not how you're supposed to do that. Like, you're supposed to just love. And so, fortunately or unfortunately, I learned unconditional love from my friends and people that I chose to make my family because my family failed me in that.
The part that, like, I mean, the whole thing boggles my mind. Like, how can you not love your child or your children equally? Being a stepmom myself, I love my daughter. I love her, you know, so much. And I love my son so much, even though, you know, they're also 10 years apart, but I could never say I love one over the other. And that just, I'm so sorry you had that. And to have them say something like, we had to love you differently, or like show like you're the only one that is getting this abuse in your household and your brother wasn't, like, and it just boggles my mind, like how that could even happen.
So this is not a justification, but it is an understanding, okay, of
Yes. Yeah.
the funny thing is my stepmom and I have a pretty good relationship now. And if you had asked me that 15 years ago, I'd have told you to go fuck yourself. Like, there's no way that was going to happen. But I learned a few things personally, like forgiveness is not about them. Forgiveness is taking that boulder off of my shoulders so I don't have to keep carrying their bullshit anymore. I found a lot of freedom in being like, I forgive you because you're never going to apologize to me the way I need anyway. So like me holding on to that is actually re-traumatizing me and making the pain worse. And then she went through some stuff personally with her family, and she came to me and was just like, I don't even know where to begin to apologize to you because there's no way I could ever really apologize, like crying to me, very, very sorry for stuff. And she explained a lot of things, like, you know, she, and what I've learned is she mirrored in our house what happened in her house. Her brother was kind of idolized and she was abused. So she kind of did what she knows. And it doesn't mean that she should have done it, but it makes me understand how she got there and that it wasn't necessarily about me. I mean, I look a lot like my mom, and there was a really bad custody battle going. So I don't think that helped the situation at all. But it gave me a better picture of her so that I could understand her perspective and be able to like allow her to apologize to me, I guess, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It goes back to that. I feel we've spoken on it many times, that generational, you know, stopping that continuation of things. We talked a lot about that, Michelle and I, during like my sobriety, that typically kids of, you know, alcoholics end up becoming alcoholics. And that was something in my life. I was like, no, I'm stopping this. I don't want to pass this on to my kids. And it sucks. And it's definitely not a justification, but it does help understand where and why, but it's not right still.
It's definitely made me have a worse relationship with my dad because as I've grown up, I've realized that he failed me the worst. Like he should have been there. His ego and his pride of not wanting to like have another failed relationship and stuff like this. And I mean, mind you, he was like a chaplain and he's out like preaching family values and Christ out in the streets and then not living it at home. So I've also learned a lot about Christian hypocrisy directly from the source. And I, as many times as I've talked to them about it, he won't own it. And I don't need him to anymore because I know what happened. I lived it, you know. I have the PTSD and the trauma scars to prove it. Like, he can be in denial forever and it's not going to change the fact that it happened. So like, just let him keep on. But I realize now who was really more at fault. Like, I was his blood. He should have stepped in.
Yeah. You talking about being a kid and, growing up around religion, and there's so much that has unspoken about that era. I feel like as kids, I feel like, the purity culture and things like that, where, where God is more of an entity
Symbol.
that gets angry at you, or will unleash wrath on you if, but everybody's a sinner. You're going to mess up anyway. So it's like, how can you even like be a good person anyway? And the guilt that comes from that. And I went to church a little bit as a kid, but I mostly went with friends because I lived in a really small town. And so there's tons of, Baptist churches around and everything. And I had a great time with my friends, but then I would go home and I would look at pictures of myself, like baby pictures, and then be angry at myself. Like I've lost my innocence or something. Like I've, and it's just weird how the messages that hit us when we were kids and how we took them in, nobody realized that's how those messages were coming out. But my big question for you is, because there's a turning point for me, maybe you feel the same way, where I finally realized this is not healthy. This is not right. Like, there's a different way to look at this. Did you have that moment, like as a teenager, college? What did that look like?
It's probably multiple steps. Like, I moved out in high school. I had enough. She strangled me. There was blood. It got real bad, and I had enough. And so I was paying rent as a 17-year-old. I've been fully on my own since I was in high school. And my dad went and told my family that he kicked me out because I was dropping out of school and all this stuff, because he couldn't own the real reason why I was doing it. I mean, mind you, I was class president, straight A student. So it was not the truth. It wasn't even close to the truth. I didn't talk to him for a while. I got really mad at God probably in my 20s. I blamed a lot of this on God. I turned away from the church and from God specifically. And then of all places for me to come back to Christ, it was in San Francisco, which I love so much. Found a home church out there with my acting coach. And it was like just this small thing. And we ended up starting our own home church up in San Francisco because I was in San Jose. And it was such an open environment where we were allowed to be human. And I was able to start realizing, like, the people I should be mad at are the people who did the actions. Like, this wasn't like God did this to me. They did this to me with their own choices and their own behavior. And it gave me a lot of healing of being like, oh, so like God doesn't hate me too. Because it's like you start to feel like everything that you've been taught is like all of that. And then I think one of my biggest turning points, I was in discipleship training probably like 10 years ago, and we were covering the fatherhood principle. And I was like a basket case, because it was like, no matter who, like, he'll always be the one there to guide you and protect you and lead you through this. And I started realizing, like, he never actually didn't. Like, I always had help. I always had, like, my brother pulling her off of me or doing all this stuff. Like, I was never alone. And it just gave me a lot of healing to know that even though my earthly father has failed me, my heavenly father would never. And I don't know, it led me into a healing place where I started learning to forgive them for myself, not for them. And then like 4 years ago, I sat and just confronted them. I confronted my dad, my stepmom, my mom, my stepdad, and was like, y'all are capable, y'all are responsible for a lot of bad shit. And I'm able to speak my piece on this. And it doesn't mean that like you have to like apologize to me or that you have to own it. And I'm not saying like, oh, you're a bad person. I'm saying you did damage. And for me to be able to fully heal, I have to confront it head on. And that means the source. Like I have to look at you and be like, you failed me. You did this. You did this. And now I struggle with this because of these things. Like I found myself dating the same broken man in a different body because they weren't as abusive, but they were still controlling and abusive to some extent. And I would keep making those same poor choices until I fully healed. Until I fixed what was wrong here, I was going to keep kind of reliving that cycle and falling into that because that's what I knew. And so like that pain and the awkwardness was very comfortable. It's a lot more comfortable than the safety that I feel in my relationship now. It's very, very uncomfortable because it's real. And so, I mean, I took like 10 years off dating. I did a lot of therapy. I did a lot of work, confronted my demons. And I think without a lot of those little points on the way, I wouldn't have been able to get there.
Yeah. You say you confronted your parents. Not a lot of people do that. And the depth of what you went through as a kid, like it's so easy to just stuff it down, push it to the side, and then just not face it head on. So holy cow, you have a lot of balls. But
I mean, like, what are they going to do? Not talk to me? Okay. Like,
yeah.
Honestly, at that point, I was just like, you can either fuck around or find out. Like, it's not serving me anymore to hold this. Like, it is hurting me, and I'm allowing them to keep me in a victim mode by not addressing it and being able to move on with it personally. And if it makes them mad, if it pisses them off, they shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have allowed it. So, like, if you're mad and you want to take it out on me, do what you have to do. But it's not my fault.
How
did that conversation go?
Yeah, I was like,
right? That's what I want to know.
Okay, so honestly, it was awkward as fuck because I had planned on having this conversation in general. So my aunt's funeral, we were literally on the way to my aunt's funeral. And I did not intend for it to be like on the way to this funeral. But they started bringing stuff up and I was like, you know what? Let's do this then. If you're gonna do this, and we're gonna bring it up. And my dad kept pushing things at me, like even the smut podcast. He was like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, the first smut book I ever read was off your bookshelf. And I told him what book it was, what kind of thing it was, that he encouraged me to read it. I mean, it was a John Grisham book, but it was gosh, now I can't remember what it's Rising Sun. There's a scene at the beginning where there's like lots of sex on a table and then they both get murdered in the process. And it was like the opening chapter. And for me being like, I think maybe 11 reading it, that's a little much. But it's like, I just started pushing back a lot. I think because I had been silent for so long that it kind of threw them for me being like, nope. Like, we're going to call this what it is. You can call me out on stuff. So I'm going to start calling you out on stuff because I'm a grown up. I'm well over the age where I should be sitting here and like feeling like I owe you anything. Like, I don't owe you anything, just like you don't owe me anything. Like, but I'm sure as hell not going to sit here and allow you to tell me how wrong I am and how all these things that I'm doing or whatever, when you're guilty of the same things. Like, if we're going to start calling spades, we're going to put all the deck down. And so my dad just got real quiet and was just like, and like sat back in the back seat. Yeah, he 100% shut down. And my stepmom just started crying and apologizing, and she owned it. And my mom, it's a little trickier because like we weren't allowed to see her for like 10 years. And it was in part because of some of her behavior back in the 80s with like drugs and stuff while my dad got custody. And then when she realized we were being abused, she tried to go back and change that. but my dad was a cop. And anytime CPS would get called, it was like, oh, you're just a bitter ex-wife, stuff like this. So it was kind of like cards stacked. But she wasn't like really a great mom anyway. Like she would parade me around, be like I was her little sister, and like say things like that. And I was like, no, it's weird. Like I probably didn't think it was weird as a kid, but looking at it now, I'm like, that's really weird and it's very creepy. And just like she was very absent for most of my life. And then she tries to come in and say that I owe her stuff. I'm like, like you are my biological mom, but you've never been my mother. Like, and I can love you and really respect all of that. But like, we're not going to act like this is something that it's not. And you're just as culpable for certain things. Like I've seen you spit on my dad. I've seen you bite Aaron. Like I saw you do certain things like, and so she did own a lot of that. And my stepdad was very apologetic for some of the stuff. I mean, he wasn't really around until later, but there's some stuff that happened not that long ago that he owned. My dad was the real one who was like,
that didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, because if he admits it, then he has to own it, and he has to be wrong, and my dad's not wrong.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. It's the generation of don't talk about it.
Yeah.
It'll look bad on us, or I've read a lot of, my child is not my mini me. It's the upgrade. It's the next version. They better be better than I am, kind of a thing. And that wasn't how it was with that generation. It was more because their parents were very like, no, this is who you're going to be. You're me. You're the next me, kind of a thing. And I've seen that where moms are like, no, this is my best friend. This is my child. This is, not my child. This is we're sisters.
That is your daughter.
No.
I heard a lot about when you were talking, like, oh, I was class president. I was, super hyper independent. Would you say like your upbringing brought you to that? And if you realize that and when along the way?
Oh, for sure. Well, mind you, like my brother and I, we were in charge of like dishes and laundry and stuff since we were like 3, like little. So it was always, but we had like allowance and stuff like that. It wasn't like slave labor, anything like that. They definitely used us.
What'd you get? I got $20 a week. What'd you get?
Oh, girl, not that much. That was definitely not in my household. It all went to books, that. But so I did find.
Oh, that's smut.
I think that's why I fell into books so young too, and it was an escape, a way for me to not have to be in that situation. But I think I was like in all these sports, I was in all the clubs, and I don't necessarily think it was trying to be an overachiever. Probably a little bit. I think it was to keep me out of my house, because the less time I had to spend there, the less danger I was in. And so, I became class president on a whim. It was like raining one day and we couldn't sit outside for lunch. And so we went to like the class meeting and they were talking about elections. And so my friend was like, I'm going to run for treasurer. You should run for something. I was like, if we're running for something, I'm running for president. if we're going to do this, I'm going to do it. And then I won and I was like, shit. So I was class president junior and senior year. But with grades, like I think I'm just smart, honestly. Like I was always that person who I don't.
You gotta bring in the Alexis.
Yes, girl.
Like
smart.
But I'm not with math. Math and me.
Okay. You don't have to have numbers.
Yeah, math and I were not besties. But like with everything else, it was kind of just like. It was good, but I think it was also not necessarily that I was just born smart, but like I enjoyed studying. I enjoyed learning. I enjoy that kind of stuff. And then it just it empowered me, I guess, like to feel like I had more to like do stuff with. But I do think to that point, like if I can be good at all of these things, then you have to love me, right? Because like you love him and I'm doing the same things he's doing. So at some point you'll love me, but well, I don't know if that worked or not.
How's your relationship with your brother? You're kind of putting your comparison on yourself of, if I'm more like my brother, maybe you'll love me more. How has that affected y'all's relationship?
We were really close. I say it's political stuff that is now dividing us. It is not any of this. Like, we've always been really, really close. Even when I started talking to my mom again and he didn't want to, I was very clear with my mom. I was like, I'm not getting in the way of this. Like, if he says no, that is his decision. And like, if you want to try, you guys have to work on that yourselves. Like, you're not going to put me in the middle of this, because that's my brother and that's my relationship. He was definitely my protector. There's times where he would come in and like pull her off while she was beating me. He called CPS on her the last time, stuff like that. Our relationship until Roe versus Wade got overturned was top notch. And then I got very outspoken about being against that, and he doesn't approve of my political stance anymore. So we have drifted apart for that reason, but not for anything like this. It's never stood between us. It wasn't. He wasn't like actively. I could see like some family, like he could have very easily been like, and like leaned into it and like, they love me more than you, stuff like this. But it was never that. Like, if something was happening, he would be like, come here, let's like play this game, try and distract me. He was definitely my protector and my savior in a lot of ways during all of that. And when he moved out to go to college is when things got really, really bad, because I didn't have anybody there to like stand up for me. So politically, we've been pushed to a different place just over the last few years, but I would still consider him one of my best friends. Like, if something were to happen, I would reach out to him. Like, I love him so much, and none of this has ever affected our relationship.
I'm hearing a lot in what you're saying is you've learned boundaries. And
please, they don't like that.
And I'm like, it took me a long time. I'm still learning boundaries, like that they're even okay in the first place, right? So like,
boundaries are hard.
Did you recognize that when you were younger and communicate that? Like, how did you find out about boundaries and how to implement them? And what was if you remember the first time you tried to implement them and what happened?
I remember living in San Francisco, I read this book called Boundaries by Town and Townsend. It was like a Christian biblical book about setting boundaries and how it's healthy. And I was like, yeah, that's good. And then super didn't set boundaries. I don't think I really started setting boundaries with people until like maybe 5 years ago. I started doing it with, I think I'm also just, the older I get, I'm like, I just do not have time for this. Like, I'm not your doormat. I've done it with friends. I've done it with partners. I've done it with, like, I do not need that in my life. If I'm someone you feel like you can use but not ever give back to me, like, and I'm not like saying like we should all, it's not a tit for tat, but like, if you don't fill my cup, I shouldn't constantly be filling yours. And I learned, to cut people off. And like we were talking earlier, trimming the fat, like, and it is sad that sometimes it is really, it's family. And sometimes it's some of your best friends that you didn't see that happening to. But people get really uncomfortable when you set boundaries. I mean, you guys watched me do it this week with another friend that I've known since like elementary school. And I was just like, I just cannot do this anymore. Like, it takes so much energy to try and like maintain your happiness when mine should be my priority. Like, I want everyone to be happy and to have peace, but like, it's not my job to give you those things. It is your job to give yourself those things.
Yeah. I just pulled up that quote I sent you about boundaries, and I wanted to just share it. It was, boundaries are grief in disguise. Every line I draw cost me someone who only loved me voiceless. That's definitely saw that going on with you and your friend this weekend.
I mean, it's easy to have a friend if they're, I say that there's like best friends and then there's yes friends. Like friends that just like say yes, like, oh, it's okay. Like, and they support you, even if what you're doing is fucked up. Like, and I don't think that's friendship. Like, if I'm doing something that is bad for me in my life, you guys would call me out on it. And you wouldn't do it in an
Yeah.
aggressive way. You would just be like, girl, like, no, like that. What are you doing? I don't think that you blindly support people, whether it's politicians or friends or family. Like, you don't just blindly support. You have to like really look at stuff, and like, if I want someone to treat me a certain way, I'm going to treat them that way. And you know, that's you really start setting boundaries when you start realizing like other people are cutting into your joy.
Yeah. What I really love about our friend group is, yes, we like don't let each other get away with the BS, but we also don't judge each other. Like we get curious with each other about it. Like, oh, tell me more about that. Oh, what are you doing right now? Oh, where did that come from? And you know, there's never any judgment. Like, girl, quit doing that.
Yeah, I'm not here to judge. I don't want someone to judge me. I want someone to understand why I did something, right? So I think I've learned that a lot too with people is, if you don't like what someone's doing or you don't understand it, try and figure out the reason behind it so that you can actually address the real problem. When I really started setting boundaries was the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
That just made me realize. I think that's when I started being like, absolutely not. And doing that was during lockdown.
You also had a like health stuff come up during COVID. So you had to protect yourself, not just mentally, but, you know, physically as well, because.
But it was even more than that. It was like, we're all working from home and everyone just decides like, oh, you can work 24 hours a day. And I was like, no, like we're already mentally exhausted from dealing with this. And you think that like, you can call me at 10 o'clock at night and that just because you know I'm at home, like I have to do something, like fuck off. No, absolutely not. I don't get paid enough for this shit. Like, no.
Get on that soapbox, girl.
I'm realizing that's really when I stopped being a yes girl at that job. And then I did get really sick and I almost died. And my doctors were like, you can either keep working, you can die, or you can take time off of work. And I was like, ooh, you know, you learn a lot when you're not having to work 24 hours a day. And you finally realize money is not what our parents set us up to think it was. Like, I think it's generations of like depression and stuff like this, where it was like, you're just chasing a title, you're chasing money, and you're defining that as success. But like, what if you're working all the time and you can never like even do anything? Like, how is that success? Like, you're just worn out. You're tired all the time. You're unhappy. You're probably unhealthy. Like, I think I redefined a lot of stuff during that time period.
I sit here and listen to what Adriel's saying, and I'm like, there are so many things that are similar to the conversations that you and I have had, Michelle, around these topics. And I did want to mention another book because we love books in this group. So it's one I share often. I've shared it with Michelle. I've shared it with many of my friends, and it was one for me that really made me, I guess, think about those relationships and if they were good for me or not. And then I don't know if it's a Pisces thing, but if you wrong me, you are dead to me. Like, you're cut out, done. But the book is The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz.
Such a good book.
And so good. And it's so the book is based on, like, in the Buddhist religion or culture, and the four agreements are: be impeccable with your word. I am not a good liar by any means, so I can't, and I will tell you even if it hurts. Don't take anything personally, because anything someone's doing, it's them, it's not you. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And that book was actually given to me by an ex, and I read it in a time, I didn't read it right away. And I read it in a time where I felt like everything was kind of crashing around, and I read it in one day at the pool at the Belmont Hotel, and it changed my life. And whenever I feel down, I reread it, and it's great.
There's this book called How to Stop the Pain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there was this part in it that I think was the most humbling, because it talks about, like, because I'm a fixer, and it's like, so you're a fixer. How arrogant are you to think that you're good enough to fix somebody else? And I was like,
I'm adding that to my list.
oh,
Right?
I
All
was
kinds
like,
of links.
that stung. It stung because it was like, you're not even willing to fix yourself, but you're going to walk around
Yeah.
fixing everybody else. Like, how arrogant are you to think that that's where it is? And I was just super humbled by that.
Hitting me like a ton of bricks.
Very guilty of it.
Yeah. Well, the beginning of this podcast idea 5 years ago stemmed from me thinking I had everything figured out. Like I had lost, 50, 60 pounds and, I was doing rowing classes at 5:30 in the morning every morning and, just like killing the game. I thought I had all the answers. I had all the endorphins, adrenaline, and I loved everything that I put on my body because I thought I looked like hot stuff. So, and that was like where my value was. And so the podcast came because I was like, oh, there's so much fear in the world, and which there is, let's, be honest. But I thought I had all the answers to those fears. Like, oh, you're just not working hard enough. Oh, you're just, there's so much more that goes into it, which is why I think I had to go on this 5-year journey and figure this out. And just this podcast is completely different than how I imagined it at the beginning, because now I'm sitting here getting curious with friends, hopefully family down the road, and just getting everybody's take on like just being humbled. Like,
I think part of the like not feeling good enough or like always trying to like be perfect. Like I was a people pleaser for most of my life. I still fall into it. Sometimes I get my people pleaser voice on.
yeah.
But like I never wanted to not know something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so someone would say something, I'd be like, yeah, or like try and comment. I have no idea what's happening. It could be about a movie, like just didn't want to be left out, And now one of my favorite things is not knowing something. I'd be like, oh no, tell me, like teach me. Like, I want to know, tell me I'm wrong. I am not afraid to be wrong. I would just rather learn from it and be like, oh, I was wrong. And then be like, look into it and be like, oh, and now I know the truth. And like, I used to think that there was a lot of strength in like always being right and always knowing everything. And now I realize that that's actually a lot of pride and weakness, and being willing to be like, oh, I don't know, but let's find out. Or like, oh, I was so wrong, and being willing to admit that to whoever you wronged, or just in public be like, I used to think this and wow, was I wrong? I think there's so much more strength in that than I ever realized there would be.
Yeah. It's funny. I was even just in episode 3, Whitney and I were going back and forth, and I was already answering things before she would even ask the question. And so like, I would say no, but really after she asked the question, I was like, wait, that's a yes. Like, I still struggle with it to this day. And I
still find myself doing it. And I'll be like, wait, why are you doing that? You don't know. Just be like, no, I don't know that movie.
Yeah. It's not that big a deal.
What do you do? Like when you catch yourself in the middle of it, like, do you
I will
just go,
stop
well,
talking.
stop?
I will stop talking and be like, actually, no, I don't think I know what you're talking about. And it's really learning my own triggers and stuff. And it's like, are you trying to impress someone right now? Are you trying to like look like something that you're not? Or like, why is it that you're doing that? Like, I think there's still those underlying things. Like, I know you guys ask a lot, like, how do you know you're good enough still, like today? And like every given Sunday, right? Like it doesn't, every day changes. There's days you wake up and you feel like you're the dirtiest, lowest piece of shit in the whole world, and you need friends to like mirror yourself back to you. Like last summer, I was really struggling with a lot of this political stuff, and the Christian nationalism of it all is the main thing I'm really struggling with, because I feel like it's an abuse of God. And I was like on the floor of this hotel room in New York, and I was just crying, and I was just like, if I'm not a Christian, what am I? Like I'm born, like my name's from the Bible. Like I've been indoctrinated since I was able to. Like I was like scared that I was losing my identity or something, because, and then they started just like you guys do too, like just holding mirrors up and be like, but you do these things. You don't have to worry about if they do those things. You have to worry about if you're doing these things and if you're living the way that you know Christ is telling you to live and how the Bible is directing you to do. Let God deal with them, because we know who you are. You know who you are. You're just letting other people influence your own opinion of yourself. And that's a thing. I think especially with trauma and abuse like that growing up, like I don't think it'll ever be 100%. Like it's never going to be a solved problem. It's about surrounding yourself with people that help solve the problem with you when you can't see it.
We believe the bad stuff a lot more. It's a lot easier too. Like my parents have told me amazing things. Like you can do anything, you can be anyone. But they've also had moments where they're human beings and being like, you're a jackass.
And that's the thing you heard.
Yeah, that's the thing that I would hold on to for a while. And then I had to really be cognizant of what that was doing to me. And I didn't think I deserved nice. I thought motivating me was like, get your shit together, go fucking kill it. Like
I think we can agree that all of our inner dialogue could use some work.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I find as your friend that you've shown me what an inner dialogue, like a healthy one, actually looks like. I'm not saying you're perfect because but how did you get to that? Like, how did you teach yourself, or is there a turning point where you just finally was like, no, I need to like take care of myself. I need to be nice to myself.
I think it took genuinely having just amazing friends who just loved me because I existed and not because I did anything for them. And it was like unexpected groups and like people I might not have even been friends with if it wasn't like for a work chat or like all these things that now we don't even work together, but we talk every single day. Like, I think that when you have people around you that lift you up when they don't even know you're down, it makes you start understanding that you're worth more than what you've been told. And like, it's hard. I still have a lot of rough inner monologues where I talk like that, where I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Get your shit together. But then I'm like, wow. Would you talk to your dog that way? Like, I think it's little things like that. Like I would never speak to y'all the way I speak to myself sometimes. And when I find myself in those places, I try and remind myself that you guys would be so mad. Not like mad, you know what I mean? Like you guys would be like, why are you?
I might smack you across the head. Stop doing that.
Like Gibbs, like just smack me in the back of the head. Like I think that it genuinely has taken humans. It has taken other people, not myself. It has taken other people who just love me 100%, even if I'm at my lowest, even if I'm at my highest, that like just constantly show up even when I don't want them to. And it just makes you realize like your value is not in stuff. It's not in the past. It's not in this bullshit. You are enough. Like just you.
I have to say, when I met you and then we went to Dolly World and you watched out for me. Whatever, Dollywood.
It was so fun.
It was my bachelorette.
It was
the best bread.
Oh dear God, it was. But then you watched out for me while I'm puking in the bushes after all the three.
I forgot about that.
Because I get motion sick and then doing the roller coasters and stuff. And just that trip from there and then going into the bigger bachelorette party, like I knew from the moment I met you, I was like, I want her to be my friend. So like, there's definitely like, I'm going to let you know, I was like,
girl crush. I'm like, I want you to be my girlfriend. I want you to be my friend. We're going to have this group. We're going to be buddies. And you're in my life now.
That's how
forever.
Whitney makes friends.
Obonite
She
acres.
forces you.
It is.
It wasn't forced. It did not feel forced.
I
to
may
me.
It may be a
That's
little
what
bit
she gets you.
stalkery sometimes. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's the way your brain works.
Yeah, but I just, when I met you, I was like, I love her and her energy. And just, you've always been very frank and just truthful in what you say. And I've always enjoyed that about you. So
Thank you.
You're never afraid to like stand up and say something. Like there's so many times where I've seen you show up and I'm like, I've been wanting to say that. And just
I probably was afraid.
but you are unapologetically like just you. Like and you still have your moments. Like just a couple days ago, you were like, "Am I fake, guys?" You know, like, and we were like, "Girl." Like,
You start listening to people, right? You start listening
yeah.
to people that don't have your best interests in mind, and you slide back into that place where you're that weak little girl that's like, "Oh, I'm not good enough," and you just want to make sure that like that's not true.
Yeah.
And I
So you
love
think-
that you were able to reach out to us and say, this is how I'm feeling, and hear the way we see you to help remind you of who you are. But in addition to that, like, what else would you have done? Like, as someone that maybe doesn't have that friend group and is still struggling with stuff like this.
You want to know what I really was, even when I wasn't talking to you, I was at home and I was like, it's not true. And then just like thinking back about a bunch of stuff and been like, no, I showed up for you all the time. I did all this stuff. I was like, I'm not fake. You're fake. I was saying it out loud in my house. My dogs were probably like, you good? I think I've learned to talk myself through some stuff and just be like, and I try to do it audibly because I can hear it coming back and just be like, that just sounds stupid. No, you're not.
I say it in my head, and then I'll like say something with my face in the middle of it, like I'm doing something like and making a face. I'm like, oh, did anybody see that? And then I've seen a meme lately that was like, you're having an argument in your shower, and it's like all of this is what your shampoo and conditioner and body wash is just sitting there like,
You're really mad at us.
I always do it in
but
the
I think
car.
it's smart.
I always
Do you?
I have a lot of inner monologue in the car, and then when I park somewhere, let's say I park at the grocery store or something, and then I walk out and I'm still talking to myself, and then I look up and people are like, and then I'll act like, oh yeah, I'm on my phone, like
I find music helps also. Like if I'm really in a place, like Bieber and Taylor tend to be people that help level me back down and get me to a place where I'm not like in my feelings and I can just look at stuff more logically, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I went through I'd be driving to work upset with something that happened, and, probably with something that was said to me by my boss or something, and put on Limp Bizkit. And then I'm like, oh, and then, just Rob Zombie. Like I'd get into I even remember looking up like mad girl music or something.
Alanis.
It wasn't mad enough for it.
Yeah.
It was
Avril.
I wanted it wasn't mad enough.
Fiona
It wasn't what I
Apple.
wanted. No, I wanted like Kitty. I wanted like Screamo. I wanted some like, yes. I wanted some
Peaches will get you there.
Yeah.
Presidents of the United
think
States of America.
That's
Classic.
good stuff.
Billions of
And
peaches.
I was like, unless you're just doing peaches, because then it's not very mean. It's kind of like their bopper.
Peaches, 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 peaches. Sorry, I went in a different direction with that.
We're on the rails.
Bring some Jack Black into it. I'm sorry.
I think I also use TV shows or books, like things that are comfortable. Like Criminal Minds is a big comfort show for me. So if I'm in a place where I can't digest things or I'm having a struggle with it, I will just watch it, probably because I've seen it 80 times. And then I'm able to like circle back. So like, I think I guess the arts, like whatever I need at that moment artistically, whether it's music, a TV show, or a book, like I'll dive into it, help clear myself out, and then be like, all right, now we're ready to conquer this.
Yeah. I remember one time I had a one-on-one with my boss, and I was in my feels. Like I was spiraling. You have that thing that you think you're going to get fired every day, and you're in trouble, or like, this is not going to go well.
Yeah.
And so I was like crying, I was like right before going on. So I went on Spotify and I put like 90s jock jams. And so it just started like jamming out to the point where like I started the call and I was like, and like she had no idea. Like I was just like, let's get into it. She's like, this is the best one-on-one ever. I'm like, yeah, it is. But like
also, are you firing me?
But 5 minutes before that, I was like, I suck.
Will I pump you up enough? Will you not fire me?
Oh, I love music though. It does that.
Yeah.
Like, how does the fear of not being enough show up today in all of life?
Everyday life, things where I feel like I'm not good enough are my relationship. And that's not something he has never made me feel that way. That is a personal feel like I'm not doing enough, I'm not capable enough, I'm not giving him enough. But I do think that's also from past relationship trauma of always being the one carrying everything, always doing everything, expected to do everything. And he is not like that. He wants to be a partner with me and actually do things as a team. And so, yeah, it's very uncomfortable and it's getting used to that. And when I get all up in my feelings about it and I start giving him lists of all the stuff I've done to try and prove to him that I was like, whatever, he's like, you could do nothing and it's still okay. Like, it's very reassuring to have that from him. And then I still think work stuff, it gets there and you still get that fear of like, oh, is this the day they're going to fire me? And like, for no reason, like, literally no reason. It'll just suddenly just creep up and you're like, why am I thinking that? Like, what is it? Is it because it's usually because I feel like I haven't done enough. Like, and I don't mean like I'm literally not enough. I feel like, did I miss a deadline? Did I like slack on something? It's because like something like that, like, was my electricity out when I couldn't work, so they're gonna fight, but they're not gonna fight. It's so dumb, like, but it's just the way your brain goes there. So I think those two things are probably it. Like, and my job, I love my job, and no one's ever made me feel like that at all. So I think it's weird when it creeps in, but the relationship one, I think, is the hardest one.
Yeah. I'm in therapy right now. I've been talking a lot about the inner voice and like being hard on myself in a relationship, at work. And my therapist is asking, who's that voice? Like, where did it come from? It came from somewhere. Do you know where yours comes from?
It's my stepmom, probably. Like, it's that you're never going to amount to anything. You're not, like, literally was told that. So I think that goes in there. Okay, let me tell you, this is real fun. I mean, it's sad fun. But so my best friend Gio, when I was living in San Francisco, she really kicked this off to make me really admit that I even had trauma from all of the abuse and stuff like that, because I was going through a divorce and dealing with everything. And we were acting at the time, so we were out there. It was one of those, we sat in her car in the driveway moments. Those are the really good ones.
Yeah.
And we went through a therapy exercise that she went through with in therapy, because she was kind of saved and pulled out of a Seventh-day Adventist cult. And so she taught me this. She was like, remember, like, the first memory you remember of, like, I used the one where my dad was like, don't come crying to me. And she made me repeat the story over in different voices, like, do it as a news reporter. do it as this. And then the final one, she was like, do it as your dad. And I was like, and I just like broke down, and it made me realize like that's where the break was. So I think sometimes I think about that a lot. And when I'm going through that, I'm like, is that like because you believe that, or is that because someone planted that into your head a long time ago? So it's like your default.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I've been diving into that a lot lately, and it's
Hard work.
I love what you just said about doing it in different ways, different voices, a headline. Like, I totally am going to do that after this.
It's actually great. And I really think about that, and I do it with a bunch of different things. And then it's like, it kind of humbles me to realize like, that's not really the issue. The issue is probably this.
Yeah.
So let's fix this.
Yeah. You can tell in your voice when you're talking about going to San Francisco and finding God again, like how pivotal that was in your life. I'm always a pivotal person, but you don't have to be.
You need those defining moments.
Pivot.
Pivot is the moment. This is the meaning. I'm a meaning maker.
But I do think that happens. Like, you do have these, and you might not realize it at the time, but as you get older, you look back and you can see where the path went different directions and how you ended up where you are. And I don't know if there's like a moment where like the fear hit it or anything like that. I think this is going to sound like a cop out, but I think I just got tired. Like,
Yeah,
it takes a lot of effort
that's real.
to keep everybody happy while not making yourself happy. And I think I got really tired, and I just had enough.
You think that was around?
Exhausting.
It's really hard. And like how they always say, like, it's harder to hate than it is to love. It's true. It's like, it takes a lot of effort to be cruel to people. It takes a lot more effort than it does just to like walk by or to let things go. And I think trying to prove something to them, trying to like make them love me, all this, it's exhausting. Like I after almost dying, it was just like, yeah, I have bigger shit to deal
Not
with.
worth it.
Like, I just have other things that I can focus on, and I don't actually need you. I haven't needed you for a long time. So like, what's the loss really there?
So would you say it was COVID time?
Yeah, I would say that.
It was really
Especially
pivotal.
because as I was really sick, they were like, it's not real. And I'm like, well, yeah, it is.
Don't throw them in.
I was like, talk to all my doctors about that one. You know, I'm like in the hospital, and they're like, don't get vaccinated. And I'm like, you could fuck off. Like, you know, this is not actually your decision. Like, so I think I just got tired, and I think everything from that year exhausted me. And I did a lot of self-growth because during the pandemic, everything was quiet, right? Like, it's hard to fix everybody else when you're not around them. And then the only person you're left to deal with is yourself. So I think I did a lot during that in the quietness, and faced a lot of stuff I didn't want to, and just kind of realized like I wasn't happy with who I was. Not like to my core, I just wasn't happy with the people pleasing and the like being everyone's doormat and doing all this stuff. I was like, I wouldn't want any one of my friends to be like that for someone else. So why am I allowing myself to be that for other people? And it was an exhausting year, but I also always say, like, no matter what happened, I think it was one of the best years I've had, because there was so much personal growth in that year, because I was forced to face things and I was confronted with myself and had to do some actual work.
Yeah. I think we all did on some level.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we didn't, we just piled on other people's shit. And
I thrived in COVID because I had just quit drinking. And then I was like, I don't have that around me as a, temptation anymore because I'm stuck at home.
yeah.
So I think everybody goes through different, people were stuck with spouses and realized they hated them and didn't want to be with them anymore. My spouse came, he and I were home together all the time. And we're like, oh, we like each other. Let's hang out more.
Nice.
Because we were working opposite schedules, you know, and going through personal growth and going through, like, even though it was a pandemic and yes, a lot of things sucked, there were still a lot of things that were good about it, I feel like. And that being stuck at home, we'll never get that again in our lifetime. Well, maybe. Come on, zombie apocalypse.
We're ready. No. I was thinking about what you just said about being tired. I'm just tired of, you know, the rat race almost in a way. And yeah, in college, I used to be able to pull all-nighters, you know, no big deal. But now if I stay up late, like I am an absolute nightmare, you know, in my head and to others. And I just don't have it in me. And I even find myself now where I used to like, let's be as productive as possible. So I'm going to pack in 5 things on a Monday and 6 things on a Tuesday and then I'll rest on the weekend. And then I go to do it. And my body won't do it. I can't anymore.
You know what else that is, though? It's not just that you're tired, it's that you're overworked. We've worked these jobs that, like, I was doing like 5 people's jobs, and you just feel like you have to constantly be like, and now that I have one job that pays me better than that one where I did 5 jobs, I feel like I'm slacking and like I'm lazy, even though I'm literally doing everything. It's because it used to be so much of like, do this, add this, continue, and them kind of abusing us and adding more onto us than is really our responsibilities. And we've been so trained and accustomed to just like suck it up and take it that now that we don't have to, we feel less than. Or like, I have found, I think, and I read somewhere about this too, it's like when you start to finally feel into a safe place, you get tired because you're no longer having to stay strong all the time. And you are able to rest easier. So it's like your body finally gets out of fight or flight mode, and you just start like actually letting go of a lot of the stuff that you've been holding. So you get tired because you're like done carrying it.
I feel like no wonder I nap so much.
You woke me up for my nap today. Sorry. I needed to be woken up. No, but that, I mean, that's resonating with me real heavy right now.
That idea of like, you know, you're doing one job now that, you know, pays you more than the one you were doing of 5 other people's jobs. And with work, you know, now I'm at one venue, and it's funny, like my director who's under me, he's like, she took so much off my plate. I'm like, I feel like I'm doing nothing because I was doing so much more. And it's like, I feel like I know that I'm doing enough at this point because it's summer and there's no school, but at the same time, it's like, I don't feel like I'm doing that much to take off of his plate. And so I every now and then I get that, well, I'm not doing anything, but
it's uncomfortable.
You know, we all, yeah, it is for sure. I have to remind myself that my job load is different. And going back to the single venue versus trying to help oversee 7 or 9 of them, it's a wildly different job load, but I can do one job a lot faster than I can do the others and just get it done and be like, oh, okay, cool. What else now? Listen to some music.
I think what I'm struggling with in my own mind with this is that I've always been able to do it all, and I've always been able to stack it up. And is me not being able to handle it? Is it a flaw within me? Is it something where I'm just not handling it as well as I could? I could be handling it differently. I could be looking at it differently. Maybe I'm thinking too negative. Like that's the road I go down, is like I constantly, what's the one thing I can control in the whole situation? Me. So I constantly second guess myself, the pretzel here. And how am I not, there's something I'm not seeing. There's something I'm not like doing. There's something I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, do y'all ever feel that way? Because that is what I struggle with, to like stay on the straight and narrow in enough. It's good enough, right? I'm good enough, but I constantly in my head, I have this like, well, did you do it this way? Did you think about that? Da-da-da-da-da. Like, how do y'all combat that?
I mean, honestly, I think for you, you were doing that to the point that it truly made you sick.
Yeah.
And your body basically forced you to stop and think about it. There were moments kind of through being in a district manager role that I had to put up boundaries of managers calling me at 10 o'clock at night or 4 a.m. to say, oh, I'm not going to be in tomorrow. And I'm like, or calling me and saying, my cook is out. Can you come fill in for them? And I'm like, I'm not a temp agency. And having to set those boundaries with them, I think has just kind of helped force me to like, I force myself to give myself time, and I've gotten comfortable in it because I've been doing it maybe long enough in that role that I'm like, I have to have me time. Otherwise, I won't be successful. And that's a common thing we talk about in the kitchen is when people are messing up, we always say, hey, slow down. You need to slow down to do better. So that's a common theme that's said. And so that's always kind of resonated with me. And maybe that's how I think about it was I was feeling like I was messing up and I was like, no, I have to take this time. So I don't. I still feel like I did, but I still take the time,
See, when I take the time, I constantly think about what I'm supposed to be doing, what I should be doing, I can't.
That's your anxiety though.
Yeah.
It's also your ADHD. It's all those combos. Like, and of all people, we get that,
maybe you need to up your anxiety meds. Mine's at the top. So
I think that we're just used to being like, but I think it always comes back to the in-flight thing, right? Like you got to put your mask on first.
Yeah.
And if you can't take care of yourself, no matter what that care looks like, it doesn't matter what it looks like to other people because you're not caring for them right now. You're caring for you. What do you need right now? Do you need a nap? Do you need to eat something? Do you need to go take a shower? Do you need to not take a shower and sit on the couch and just doom scroll? What is it you need? Do you need to not doom scroll because it's making it worse? Like figuring it out. That's worked for me a lot too. Because like I'll sit there and be like, oh, you're not doing anything, blah, 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 blah. And then I start listing out the stuff I've actually done. It's almost like making my little checklist so I can be like, oh no, you did things. And every once in a while I'll be like, but you could still just go put those dishes in the dishwasher. And I'll get up and put the dishes in the dishwasher. And then I'm like, and then I go sit back down. It's like, and sometimes I don't because I'm tired and I don't want to. And the dishes not being done is not going to kill me. And I think I've learned a lot of other things are going to kill me before like the bullshit that I have running in my head.
Yeah. I did not realize how unhealthy I was to myself. And I'm still like, in my head, I'm like, I've, been on this health journey. I've been sick since January. I've, built myself back up, but I'm still like, but I'm not where I'm going to tell you,
you're not where you want to be.
Yeah, you're not going to get back there.
I know. That's what I'm starting to realize.
And it's not because you can't. It's because you shouldn't. It's because the stuff that got you there was unhealthy to begin with. And like us trying to go back, it's like my doctor is like, do you want to die or do you want to keep living like this? You have to understand that like you don't have to keep operating on that level. Like if it's literally killing you, do not go back there. Like it's okay. And once you're sick and you're dealing with a bunch of stuff like this, it's very hard for us to understand that we are never going to be that same person again, and it's difficult. And I feel like you have to mourn that part of you and like almost give it a little burial and put it in the ground and just understand like it's not going to be it again. And that's hard. I've been there. Like it's very difficult to like, it makes you almost feel like you're less than again. Like, oh, well, I'm never going to be that. And I wasn't even good enough then. But were you good enough? You were damaging yourself. You're literally killing yourself. And for who? Not you. For some fucking company, for some corporation, for whatever it is that happens to be whatever it's doing. Like, you deserve better than that. If you can't take care of yourself, let us help take care of you until you like, we'll have a little funeral for you. We'll like make a little box and be like, past Michelle.
And maybe it would be easier for you to see if it was a physical and not a internal, illness that you're going through. Like if it was a functional physical thing that was stopping you versus an internal that you don't see. I feel like that's a big piece of it too, because you're like, well, I look fine.
Yeah.
And how many times have I seen a video where somebody's being accused of parking in a handicapped spot because they don't look disabled?
Yeah.
And it's a real fucked up way of thinking. And unfortunately, that's how society has made people think. Oh, not everybody thinks that way. Obviously, I'm not talking for everyone, but it's definitely out there. And a lot of it is, well, you don't look disabled, so you're fine.
Mm-hmm. It's like how all of us had ADHD growing up, but none of our parents wanted to go there, because that was something they'd have to like own. And somehow that's on them as being bad parents. No, it's mental. It's literally how we're constructed. We could have had a more functional childhood if they had just like taken it down a little bit and just listening to somebody, like it does not make you weak. Understanding, I have never felt better since having all those diagnoses. Like I feel normal again. Like not again, period. I feel normal. Like I understand myself better. I see myself more clearly. It makes things make more sense. And I think you're in that journey right now of like, and sometimes it's real hard to learn things about yourself, especially when you've been taught that things like this are a disability, or it means there's something wrong with you or something like that, because that's what our parents' generation wants us to believe, but we don't have to believe it. Yeah. You don't have to own their descriptions. You can own the truth.
It's just like, well, who am I now? Because
you're Michelle.
You're a girl.
You're not defined by something or some job or some bodily function. Like that's not what defines you. Your heart, your soul, who you are is what defines you. Mm-hmm. The other stuff does not matter.
And that's why you've been my best friend for over 20 years. It's that heart and soul. I'm sorry, did you get Kleenex for your office yet?
No. I've been like, I didn't get the Kleenex. I wasn't expecting to do this.
Sorry. You should just expect to cry. We're all criers. No, I don't think Whitney's a crier. Whitney's not a crier.
I was the first to cry, though.
You were?
Because I was the first to cry, which is funny. In that episode, I'm like, I'm not a crier. And then I talked about crying when I'm being forced to like have that hard conversation because I want to shut down.
Yeah.
But that's the only time. So
you're an uncomfortable crier.
I'm an uncomfortable crier when you're like, I'm the when things get hard, I would just want to shut down and just not talk about it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm the one who will go into a conversation and be like, I'm going to cry. Just hear me out.
This is part of the process.
I'm getting better at the conversations though. Yeah. So practice
language
makes
helps
language.
so much. That
Yeah.
I feel like has helped me, because I'm just like, I'm feeling all the feelings. I don't know, go away, and then like go the opposite way or shove it under something, and let's play the 90s jock jams and we'll focus on that instead, you know. So sitting with it,
And you're not going to have answers to everything. You like to be able to
No.
like put a period on things, and that's not always going to be the case. That's going to be really hard for you.
I love the end result. I love the ROI. I love the KPIs. Like, let's go. I you know, feel so awesome when I talk about this, but that's not what life is. And so, and it hit me hard this week, which is why this is happening. But because I tried to like go back to where I was before and hit the ground running, and I can do this now. I have the tools in my toolbox, and
But it wasn't healthy for you then.
It wasn't.
So it's still not healthy for you now.
But even trying it's just a fraction of it. It wasn't even like that level. It's just a fraction of it. I
think that you should give yourself a little bit of grace, because you also haven't been doing it at all. So like trying to go from 0 to 60, it's not going to help. Even trying to go from 0 to 30 when you've been going 0, that's hard. Maybe try to go 5. And then once you're used to 5, you go 10. And once you feel like comfortable with that, you go to 15. Like it's the baby steps of it, because you want to be exactly where you were. You want to at least like show, you want to prove yourself. And not just to everyone, you want to prove it to yourself. But in the process, you're hurting yourself, because you're not allowing yourself the actual time to heal and grow through everything that you're going through. You want to just like kind of box some of it up and put it away like it's not going to still be there, but you're literally carrying it. So it's making the journey harder.
I feel like I did not mean to make this about me, but it's like we're all here and we all like talk, you know, to each other about everything. And I, like a month ago, read a book. Look at me talking about books. Hey guys.
If she starts talking about movies, we're getting off.
That's true.
Because
done.
hell has frozen over.
But it's called The Good Enough Job. And work will always be work. Some people work doing what they love, and some people work so they can do what they love. But neither is more noble. And that hit me like a ton of bricks, because I had put so much meaning into my job and what that would entail. And I also, like, my dad was a pilot. Like, I would take him to career days and see like whole classrooms, or even bring him to church, and whole like everybody, you know, he'd have all these like planes and like all this, and it was the coolest thing ever. And I loved that. And I'm so proud of him, and it, like, amazing. But I didn't realize that I was then turning that on myself. Like, so what you got? what are you gonna bring to the table? Like, who are you gonna be?
Self-doubt and trauma.
But like,
That's what I'm bringing.
it's just so
self-doubt and trauma.
And but it's so funny how what we put on ourselves. Like, nobody, like, I don't know. I just like
Honestly, my dad was a washed up cop who couldn't even keep a full-time job, really. He was a manager at Taco Bell, not shaming it. Someone's got to manage a store. My stepmom was the provider, and I hold myself to some lesser standard when I have always made more than him. Who the fuck do I think I am to be comparing myself to that man?
Yeah.
We all bring it. We all have the drama.
The drama.
The drama.
Drama. I did not mean for this to turn into
No, you
counseling
needed
session.
You needed it.
It's
It will
okay. That's
be-
what this is.
I will send you a Venmo request for $75. JK.
But what you were saying was like resonating with me so hard. I feel like what you went through during COVID, I'm getting a view of that in my own way, in my own world.
If I can help you learn anything so you don't have to experience it in the length of time that I did, it is you are not going to be that person again.
Yeah.
And you can cause more damage to yourself by trying to get back there and to prove to yourself and everyone else that you're that same person than if you can just try and let it go right now.
Yeah.
I pushed myself. I ran a fucking marathon with a heart monitor on, and I caused more damage to my body. For what? For what?
For a Super Bowl trophy.
Medal. And so I got rid of all of my medals, and it's the only one I keep. And it is a reminder that not everything that is healthy is good for you. And just because you want to prove a point doesn't mean you should.
So where the hell do I go from here?
That's your path, baby.
I know. And I have amazing friends to lift me up.
I just don't want you to hurt yourself by trying to do something that was unhealthy for you from the first place.
It's fine. Like, I blame myself for making it unhealthy, though. I don't know.
I can understand taking some of the responsibility, but
yeah,
your work environment pushed that onto you also.
Both can be true.
You allowed it, yes, but you were also trained in how we were raised, is that's what we do. I would just say don't own all of it.
Yeah. I think that's what I struggle with a lot. I think because the times when I did get accolades, I try to recreate that over and over and over again.
For what, a pizza party? Not a raise.
I love pizza.
Sure, it wasn't a raise.
No, I got raises.
Okay. I didn't even get raises. I just got fucking pizza parties.
Yeah.
I got more responsibility with no income to actually back it up. But the money doesn't actually make it okay.
My little article on the internal, internet thing we have. Portal, whatever. Intranet, yes.
But we chase, this goes back to even what we were talking about in the actual podcast part. Like, we chase accolades and approval. And it's because we didn't get it somewhere along the line. And so we're still chasing the accolades and the approval and the love. And we think that that's going to fill that void. But what put the void there in the first place, that's not going to fit there. That's something else entirely. And maybe there's nothing else that's going to fit in there, but us trying to desperately shove shit in there. It's like those blocks that you're like trying to get like the square into the circle and it's not going in. It's because it does not go there.
Quit describing my life.
It's
so attacked, Adriel.
I'm not attacking you. I'm telling you my own story and you're resonating with it because there's a truth for you. And we do that, and it's because of trauma and pain, and we just want to feel loved. We just want people to think we're good enough. We just want to feel accepted. We want the article published. We want someone to tell us that we're amazing. But like, do we really need that? Like, do you need your boss to constantly kiss your ass? Because I sure as hell know that your boss doesn't need you to kiss theirs.
Yeah.
To feel like they deserve it. You think Donald Trump, actually, never mind, he doesn't. He's constantly getting people to kiss his ass because he has a lot of holes to fill. I understand where you're at.
I know.
I wish I could fix it for you, but I can't because it's not something I can do. I can just tell you what I did and what I went through and just hope you can apply that in some kind of positive manner to what your situation is.
Yeah.
And that is the definition of this podcast.
Is there anything that you wanted to talk about today that we didn't touch on?
Why I moved around the country. It's why I ran away from so much. Like, I thought I was just going to discover who I am, which I did in the process. And I'm so grateful that I spent my 20s moving to different parts of the country and out of where I was raised. So I was able to become a more well-rounded person that was able to be as like introduced to different cultures, different people, different ethnicities, like besides South Austin. And I think it was really beneficial for me. But if the truth behind that is I was running from the hometown that every time I look around, there's pain because I have bad memories. I was running from like relationships that caused me trauma over like from a different coast to a different coast to a different, like, I was running. I spent my 20s running, and there was a lot of good stuff that came in that process. But I think I mainly learned that you can't run away from what's broken. It literally inside you, like you're taking it with you. So the running does not help. I think it's the main thing I
Pack
learned
your
from
bags
all
of
of
trauma.
Yeah. All my baggage literally comes with me. Figuring out how to make it lighter so you don't have to carry it all the time.
How did you figure out how to make it lighter?
Letting a lot of it go. And that's so much easier said than done. And there's like way more behind that than just like, oh, I just let it go one day. No, I didn't wake up one day and was like, and now I'm done. It was, I think the big thing was learning that the forgiveness part was really more for my benefit than theirs. And I felt a lot of release in that. And it really, I think, started my healing process because I wasn't holding in the grudge. I wasn't carrying their load. I wasn't just walking with boulders on me all the time. I still had like rocks, but I wasn't carrying as much. And so it made it easier to start brushing the dirt off my shoulder, finding good people and learning to forgive for myself were like probably the key things that helped me like really start all that. I mean, long process. I'm saying like, oh, I just got rid of it. It was like 15-year process. It wasn't like just woke up one morning and I was fine and I'm still not fine. I still struggle with it. There's still scar tissue that flares up, you know?
One more, there is a book that you recommended to me that I'm in the middle of that I absolutely am obsessed with, called Buy Yourself the Fucking Lilies. And
Tara Schuster.
That has been a great place for me to just take in a different perspective. And so thank you for that too. And thank you for being an amazing person and podcast guest.
Letting me talk and being open to hearing my story, and hopefully it resonates with more than just the one person I know it resonated with today.
Right.
And it may, I think the important thing about podcasts like this and conversations like this is that we were told in our generation growing up, like we just didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it. And if we talk about things, we realize we're not as alone as we think we are. Like other people have gone through this too. Other people have experiences so similar to yours that you can like actually learn healing from. I think it's really important that we have the hard conversations and that we allow ourselves to be vulnerable around the right people, so that we have that safety and we can actually start to solve the problems. Because if we stay silent, nothing ever gets fixed, nothing ever gets solved. It creates a cycle where you end up doing the same stuff, where you can influence someone else to end up doing the stuff that hurt you. So I think that this kind of conversations are very, very needed. So thank you for opening yourselves up to this, to allow everyone to have a place to come. And even if they're not ready to talk, they can come and hear things that'll make them feel less alone.
That's exactly why we wanted to create this. I've had high school friends actually message me like, the first episode made me cry. I'm reconnecting with like old friends that I haven't talked to in forever because they're like, this wasn't allowed to be talked about. And I want it to feel safe with best friends. And I want people to feel like they're around best friends to explore these topics. So
that goes back to when you and I were first getting into like, how deep do we want to go into these conversations? And I told you that lyric from the Transplants, give me the chance to shine and I'll blind the world. Take a stand and be the voice of those who cannot be heard. And it's not the ones that can't be heard. Sometimes it's the ones that don't want, like, aren't ready to be heard. But that's what we want this to be, is there's so much that we've been told not to talk about. And we want to talk about it. We want to get into the grimy, the dirty, the uncomfortable, because we need to hear it. People need to hear it to know that they're not alone. So, and on that note, now what is your high, low, in Buffalo?
My high is getting to see y'all in person, since we just text all day, but it's nice to see your faces. I really enjoy that. My low is, it's just a tough conversation, right? Like, it revisits a lot of pain, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just hard, because you go back into this place where you were like literally mistreated by so many people, and it could have been stopped. And that's hard. It's always hard to, now I'm crying. It's always hard to go back there. I think my Buffalo was I didn't expect my story to resonate with you the way it did, Michelle, to where you really took to it and saw some things. And I think that's cool, because that's the reason I started speaking up in the first place, is because I felt really alone, and I started realizing that I wasn't, and that a lot of us went through similar things. And so I just thank you for being vulnerable with us and sharing too.
Thank you for making me cry.
Anytime, girl.
Yeah, this was incredibly, I did not expect where this would go. And this, high was just definitely laughing with you guys. The low is, oh shit, now I'm looking at myself. Holy fuck, holy fuck, holy fuck. And then the Buffalo was getting an unexpected counseling session that I needed today.
I thank both of you guys for your candor on your stories and, just being so vulnerable on this episode.
Thank you for listening to Use Your Fear podcast. Rate us.
You can watch full episodes on YouTube, listen on all major podcast platforms, and support us on Patreon for additional cutting room floor footage. Follow us on all social media and visit our website at useyourfear.com to connect. Or if you've got a fear story to share, we'd love to hear from you. Please share and support so we can continue to have these meaningful conversations so others know they aren't alone.
Have a great day. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.